than you. You know what I'm trying to say? So, and that kind of ties in with what we're going to talk about today.
Good.
Is that okay? That was kind of very vague, I'm sure. So I will fill everybody here in just a second, giving everyone a minute to kind of get comfortable and get a Coke and sit down and get logged in and spend, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes with us, and we can answer everybody's questions and hopefully help take some of the mystery and out of this whole land investing. And what do you mean you don't do anything to it about, way that we do things? It's still funny now and then, don't you? Like, there's so many people now in the Land Academy community that I'm not finding myself having to explain it. But back in
Isn't
the
that nice?
day, right? I would have to like really, people would just really look at me sideways, and I'd have to try to, like you give directions to let's just say an 18-year-old boy. You can't, and they're not getting it. You can't just repeat the same instructions. You got to reword it, try a different way until they eventually understand the point you're trying to get across. So it's kind of like this with what we do. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, I got to reword this a couple different ways so people can understand what we do. So in a nutshell, I'll explain it right now and give a little intro and say hello to everyone and glad you're here. So I am Jill DeWitt, and I'm here with my partner, Stephen Jack Butala. We're Land Academy and we're House Academy, and Jack's been doing this since the 90s. I came along now, what, 2009?
Yeah.
Roughly. I had to think about that. And man, Land Academy has been around since 2015. I was looking at some old, we were just talking about that today as we're recording our podcast for next week. Like, even Land Academy's been going on for quite some time. I'm so flippin' excited. But we are investors and been basically land and house and all kinds of property investors for many, many years. And we decided back in 2015, I'm going to promote you here, Cluster. We decided back in 2015 because so many of our people were coming to us saying, our buyers saying, what the heck, how are you guys buying this so cheap? Because I buy it from you and I still mark it up and make money. What's going on here? So we decided, all right, we'll not only share it, we'll just share it with the planet. We've created Land Academy, which is basically sharing our whole business model. Stephen says, soup to nuts, everything that we do and how to have your own successful business that you could do from the back of a boat, which is great about rural vacant land. That's our number one thing. And just buying land and selling it for more. And the gist of it is, and you can read our description and follow us and ask questions here too if you're not sure. But the gist of it is by sending out, by getting your hands on incredibly great data. Let me back up. By being Jack and knowing how to pick counties, that's a whole process there. Getting your hands on incredible data, still Jack, that's a whole nother thing there. Sending out these amazing real dollar amount offers, that's Jack. Getting the phone to ring, that's me. And then making these deals happen, that's me. And then turning around, marking them up for double or more is kind of our sweet spot, and selling them and repeating, rinsing and repeating. That's kind of what we do. And today I wanted to, everybody, please raise your hand whenever you want and just ask any questions. I try to promote you, Cluster, so I'm going to click it again here. So you should be able to accept and get on the stage here when you're ready and ask away. But what we thought we'd talk about today was what's so interesting is you're often one or the other. You're the talker or you're the behind the scenes person. Clearly, in these first few minutes, you can tell between the two of us who's the talker.
Yep.
So, and who's the one that, and I love it. We recorded a show for next week for the Land Academy podcast. My show for Friday was 8 hours a day on the phone. And I said, it's actually true. I would be on there 10 hours a day if I needed to, because I just love it. I love getting on the phone, talking to people, making deals happen, helping people, whatever it is. And as long as I don't have to do the crappy paperwork that goes along with it, and that's why I have a team. They do that part. I'm like, here we're buying it. This one, here's how much we're buying it for. Here we're selling it. This is what we're selling it for. And then I kind of walk away, which is awesome. And our people get stuff done. But we were thinking about this, and Jack's like, it's so interesting. Do you want to jump in, Jack, and tell me what you said in the kitchen?
So here's the thing. There's really two big components to buying and selling land. The first is a data piece, which I enjoy and quite frankly succeed at. You find a place to send mail based on a bunch of parameters. We call it trolling the internet, like on Zillow and Realtor.com. You put a mailer together and you send out blind offers, and you price the mailer and send out a ton of offers, tens of thousands of offers in an ideal situation. And a very predictable number of people respond to those offers, and you buy very, very well priced in your favor, undervalued assets. The component that, because I put this all together and then brought Jill in, the component that gets under discussed all the time is Jill's role in all this, or in your business, your land business, whoever you are, the role of the person who's answering the phone and then putting these deals together. It's imperative. It's imperative. And I don't think that for whatever reason, Jill and I have been talking about this a lot lately. We don't spend enough time talking about this out loud, how much work and how essential it is to have somebody answering the phone with a dynamic personality, quite honestly, who can engage in these sellers and meet them from where they come to create a real estate deal. From where I'm coming as the data person and the tech person behind it all, I think I'm creating the deal. I created the offer. I priced it. I put all this time in making sure that where we're sending mail, we can resell it quickly and for how much and all of that. So it's easy to assume that the person who's generating that offer is creating the real estate deal, when in reality, all it is a catalyst. It's a catalyst for the person, the potential seller, to pick up the phone and call whoever's, call somebody in our group. Essentially, it's Jill, and then have her receive that call and turn it into a real estate deal. So it's a dual component. It's a bifurcated team effort. And I think that this actually came up, Jill, because Jill's had a conversation with somebody. Well, why don't you tell the story?
Which one? Which person are you
I sent out 15,000 units.
Oh, that one.
And this doesn't work.
This other person said, I've spent about $15,000 now and sending out mail and all this stuff, and I don't have a deal. I'm like, that is not possible. So, which is true. And then what after further digging, uncovered that the person is not comfortable getting on the phone and speaking to sellers and communicating with them. Like, this isn't gonna work, kind of thing. So that was our whole kind of thought today. And even I thought was kind of funny. It reminded me of Clubhouse. If you're on Clubhouse, you probably have your phone in your hand a lot, like me. And there's no surprise that I'm the one that found Clubhouse a year or so ago and brought it to Jack. And he's like, what the heck is this, kind of thing? Because I'm a talker. That's who I am. I love this. I love this format. And especially this format. This is for me the most fun. I think you like the podcast. What do you think? What's your most fun thing, Jack?
Well, any time that there's an environment where we're just talking and no one is talking back, I'm all for it.
See, that's the funny thing. I love that. I'm like, no, I want people to ask me questions. Put me on the spot, put me in coach. I need to bring it back. And at some point I will, as we're building up our team. If you know us, you know that we relocated from another state, which shall remain nameless, back to Arizona, and we couldn't be happier. And we're building up a team here again. We still have some people back in that other state, and we love them and we miss them, but we're building up a team here. And I totally just lost my train of thought. How does that happen? Did you ask me a question?
Would I ask you a question?
No, did you ask me a question? Where was I going with that?
I don't know. We're talking about bifurcated, how the real estate deals. Real estate, what we do is bifurcated. I kind of hand it off to you, and you create a deal.
That's so darn funny. I just did a brain fade, but yeah. Anyway, so I found Clubhouse or the podcast. Love the podcast. Thank you, Cluster. You got up here now. But yeah, and anyone who wants to ask a question, please jump in. Please save me. I'm not sure what happened with that brain fade. So reel me back in. Oh, and I was going to say, back in LA, it's been a while. I haven't done it in a bit, but I used to do a lot of these Facebook Live things, and I want to bring them back. So I know there's people on my team right now that are hearing this, and I think they like it too because it's great marketing, and I just get a kick out of it. And it's like me on screen, and you can ask me a question, and like um, I love like please try to stump me. It's okay. I think it's fun. So how are you, Cluster? Hopefully you
Hello, how
can
you
hear me.
doing?
Good, thank you.
Okay.
How are you?
Good. I'm kind of asking the same questions that I did last time. I'm just kind of unsure if it will really work out as far as what I had ran by you last time as far as like the tax deed properties over the counter. I'm seeing a lot of great deals with the spreads there. They're like infill lots with like in between like $500,000 homes, half acres, and these are like over the counter properties.
Can I jump in here first, Jack, please?
Yeah, for sure.
Here's the thing you've got to do with these transactions. Yes, there might be some gold there. Slash, however, you've got to do a lot of front end work before this. Like you have to go through the whole list, right? And then if you find, let's just give an example $1 million house, infill lot, $1 million house. Okay. And it's in a back tax situation. To me, it's a huge red flag because it wouldn't have been in a back tax situation if there weren't some problem. So now I've got to uncover and dig what the problem is. Is it, if someone really passed on and no one can undo it and that's where it came up and I'm like, I better grab it quick, that's the best case scenario. What could be going on is like something like it's not buildable. There could be some fatal flaw. And so you have to be real careful on the front end going into those. And that's like the whole why I'm not a fan of driving for dollars. Every time, if I had a nickel for every time, someone said, "Oh my gosh, I drove down the street, I saw this boarded up house in this beautiful neighborhood." And so I started reaching out and I'm like, "Do you really think that you're the first one that's tried this?" Chances are no. And it most often is that way. It's like, no. And then you uncover it like, oh my gosh, the probate goes back decades. Mom's still alive. Nothing's going to happen, and you're like, and now you wasted a week of your life. So, um, and Jack has done all of these.
Yep.
I've helped with all of these. So my whole thing, Cluster, is not that it can't work. I would recommend if you're trying to get started in this, I would go for the easiest thing possible and then prove the concept, understand how these transactions work. And then later on, I don't know, 6 months, a year from now, if you're really, really bored or not making enough money and you want to throw that into there, I would totally do that. But I would suspect that you might not do that. Does that
I
make
mean,
sense?
let me put it this way. Joe's not wrong at all. It all comes down to efficiency. I built this whole company on back tax property, and we don't do any back tax deals anymore at all. And here's the reason: there's a county in Arizona that I ordered but it used to be before the prevalence of the internet, you would have to order a CD from the county, and they would send it to you in the mail. It usually costs like $50 with all the back tax property on it and the amounts and the people and their addresses and all that. And so you could contact them and see if you can buy the properties from them, or if it's so antiquated that the state already did an administrative or treasury foreclosure, a judicial foreclosure on it. That's what Cluster is referring to as over the counter, where you can look through a list. There's a bunch of properties there. You can buy them for the back tax amount. Let's say it's a $100,000 property. Maybe you get it for $20,000 or $30,000 plus some administrative fee, and you own it. You own it right there. What that requires is going through this massive list, usually, and checking and mapping it and see if it's worth it. And so 2 weeks later, you've gone through this list and you've got 3 properties that really make sense. Instead, what we have chosen to do, and I've done this, because I was so frustrated as going through those lists, I came up with this concept of sending out mail. What I really think you should do is kind of get on the Land Academy bandwagon, not necessarily join the group, but just understand the concept that if you got the data for that county or that zip code that you're interested in and sent everybody an offer, the 5 or 10 people that are really, really interested in selling for a super cheap price, they're going to do all the work for you. And so 5 days later, you've got a bunch of signed offers and a bunch of willing sellers that really want to do a deal. And it doesn't have all this crap associated with it, like Jill's talking about. The reason that they're selling you the property cheap is because they want the money. They're done with it. They're mentally done with it. So it's not that there's anything wrong with the property. Back tax property is riddled with problems.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that makes sense.
I can't tell you how many times too, Cluster, that I talk to sweet couples that are so happy to sell us their property, and they've been happily paying their taxes because they didn't know they couldn't. They didn't know that there was a thing that stopped paying, and kind of thing. They get the letters and they write their check for $64 and they put it in the mail every 6 months, kind of thing. So
I devised this blind offer campaign. Nobody taught me how to do this. I did it because I was lazy. I was just tired of going through all those lists and buying 5 properties instead of sending out 20,000 offers and getting 15 properties that are not riddled with issues. So it's
Okay.
proven.
Okay,
and to
because last
save
time
you.
last time I had mentioned it, you said, well, long as you feel that it's a deal, then you won't let it go to waste.
Here's the
Right.
truth of it. I still say I love back tax property, and I still catch myself going to this, back to the same kind of watering hole that I have for years and years, wasting a day going through lists because it's just the concept of it is like, oh my god, this is $100,000 property. I can buy it for $12,000. It is so attractive. It's like something shiny, and then in the end, I get frustrated with myself and then go do a mailer in the same area. By the way, if you send a mailer in this area that where you're talking about that you like these back tax properties, then chances are somebody's going to sign the offer and send it back, and it's not a back tax property, and it doesn't have any issues. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying there's a better way, or do it in addition to.
Mm-hmm. That's
Let's
what I'm
just say that.
saying. I'd say go the easy way, and then if you really want to try this down the road or something, go. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Just you will find how much time, like Jack said, it's about efficiency for us. I want to do a deal and move on, and do another deal and move on, and as many as I can.
There's the looming issue of title insurance too with back tax properties. So you do,
True.
especially in the league that you're talking about, where somebody's going to build a house on an infill lot.
True.
You got to go get title insurance on it, and that's going to cost you a couple grand and probably take
Right.
3 to 6 months.
Mm.
Yeah, that's very true. There's special companies out there that can solve it for you, like taxtitleservices.com.
Yeah, tax title services is really the place to go to get title
Mhm.
insurance on back tax property.
So they can do it. But yeah, it is a little more expensive and takes a little bit longer too. It's a good point.
Okay.
It's a good question though. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you obviously have the real estate bug, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean that was our thing for a long time. Like I understand it. And you know what? What's so great, Cluster? You can right now go on landinvestors.com and check at the top of there. We've given a window. You can't communicate, but you can sure read. We've given a window that you can see what's going on in the Land Academy community on Discord and the discussions. And you might see stuff like this pop up, and you can, dig for it, and you'll see how we've all kind of moved on. Like, there's more money to be made on better properties faster.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And here's a good thing too. When we send out these mailers, we not only don't zero in on back tax property, we don't try to weed them out if we could even. It's hard you can't get that perfect set data set. So if something comes back, I just ask. There's people that call me back and they want to sell that they are 100% up to date on their taxes. And there's people that are like, oh, I stopped paying a year ago. That's fine too. I don't really care. I'm going to look at that and just, I'll just factor that in to the acquisition price. It's really about the property.
Yeah, you're going to capture those back tax properties in a mailer anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's something you probably wouldn't be open to, or
Totally.
deal
Oh
funding.
gosh.
Oh my
Oh, of
gosh,
course.
yes.
I don't really care. I don't care at all.
Oh, you
It
mean
doesn't.
would we fund a back tax property?
Sure, I do it all the time. I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm talking
It's
about like the ones I'm talking about.
oh that I wouldn't fund. No, I'm not going to fund because I'm not going to fund a deal that you're going to go and turn around, go to the county and buy it over the counter. Not that kind of a deal. But you're dealing directly with the seller, yeah, and they happen to owe taxes on it. Sure, I don't care. That happens all the time,
Somebody will fund it though. It just won't be us. The
right?
vast majority of deals that get funded in Land Academy are not through Jill and I. They're on Discord. There's a guy in there. His name's Steve H, and he's got like at any given time he has millions of dollars placed with Land Academy members in
Mm-hmm.
funding. So he might be up
But
for it.
we all most of us don't want to hang out for a year to get it back. And there's a lot that goes on. Like if you're looking at an info lot, I mean, there's county calls. We got to talk, we really got to find out because there's a single use for that, right? When it's an infill lot, which is the use is similar to the houses on each side. So you got to dig and make sure, because I've had these things that they didn't pan out. I've had what I thought was a beautiful infill lot. Thank goodness I did some extra digging. And then I found out that with the setbacks, like this one was in a great area, but by the time we had the setbacks and where the septic would go and all this stuff, great. Now we could put a 1,200 square foot house on like an acre a lot. I'm like, that's not going to fly. No one's going to want that. Now we know why this is sitting here. That's what happened. So
Okay.
good question though. Stay with us and
Yeah.
follow our
Yeah.
community and get involved and ask questions and stuff. You can ask questions in the community. If you go on the landinvestors.com site, you can get a free account and just start communicating right there. So good.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey AJ, how are you?
I am living the dream today and
Oh,
those
bring
days.
it.
Yeah, something like that anyway. Hey, I got an easy one for you guys.
Okay.
Since you've been through a recession at least once, what, if anything, are you preparing for with the impending recession heading our way now in your business?
Let me try to put this in perspective. There are exactly 2 times in American history when home values have gone down. 1929 stock market crash and 2009. And I don't expect home values to go down nationally ever again in your lifetime, not my lifetime, and certainly not your lifetime. Probably your children's, not in your children's lifetime. So, what happened in 2008 was the result of grossly unregulated lending practices, and then the underlying issues with credit that followed that roared through Wall Street. So, I don't expect anything like that to happen now. I don't expect real estate values to go down from where they are now. They might plane out. Sales might be slower, but I really don't expect it to go down. If they do go down, it's going to be in these overpriced markets. Phoenix is one of them. Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Florida are always in the top 5. So what do you do to plan for it? I believe, and I'm going to talk about this on our Thursday call, which is in a few hours, our Thursday member webinar. Now's the time to start thinking about buying houses. We have House Academy, and we've had it on the shelf for all throughout this boom. And so
I
it's time to start thinking about that. That coupled with, and I can give you all kinds of data about why I don't think it's going to go down, but it is going to plane out. The Fed just released a 0.75% interest rate hike, which hasn't happened since the early 90s. They're trying to slow inflation, which I personally agree with. What do I
what
plan to
makes
do?
sense to
Send out
me.
more mail. I think we just buy land cheaper.
Oh
The
yeah.
whole thing just goes down. So you buy it cheaper and you sell it for more, but just the brackets just together go down.
That's what we're doing. Then what makes sense to me too is like get some cash. Be ready for cash.
Yeah.
Because as people start needing money, AJ, we're going to be getting even better deals.
Yep. I
Got
agree
it.
with
Are you
that.
seeing a slowdown in sales with the recent interest rate
No,
hike
No.
and anything like
not
that?
at all.
No, if anything, AJ, I keep getting in trouble. Jack is like, I told you that we were going to hang out for this price and it's probably going to take 6 months. I'm like, dude, I got the price. It didn't take that long. He's like, he thinks that like I'm undercutting properties or something. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I just got a full price cash offer. That's just the way it went. So
Jill's
Nice.
famous for leaving $100,000 on the table on the
I
sell
have
side.
done that.
It's quite
Your
the
favorite
topic in
thing,
our
Steve,
house.
I'm sure.
I know. But wait a minute. But I sold 3 this week, so come on, it all worked out just fine.
Nice,
You know,
nice.
I'm in a
Well, that was the only
relationship.
question I had, but I have a comment for Cluster and anyone else who's not a member.
Yeah,
Jackie
sure.
did a podcast on Just Takes One. My partner and I are closing on a deal that we're buying for 365 and looking to sell for probably close to 2 mil.
Oh my
So it
God.
really does just take one.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, system
Amazing.
works, guys. Do it.
Wow. That's
Oh,
congratulations. That's amazing.
that's
Thank
so
you. And
great.
thank you. You're the reason we're here doing it. So appreciate
So
it.
now, are you going to go off and live the life, or are you just going to send out more mail because you're addicted to it?
Both. That's enough money to do both. Yeah,
Yep.
maybe a new truck too. We'll see.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Always
Oh,
a little reward like that's always good.
Yep.
that's so
Awesome.
good.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
What a
Hey,
story.
Ray, how are you? Get in here, Ray.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got you. How are you?
I am great. How are you guys?
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. I feel like I've been out the loop a couple of weeks. I've been, missing the Thursday calls, but I'm glad I'm available this week.
Good.
And I just wanted to jump in and speak to what I came in on the tail end of the conversation that you guys was having with Cluster. And I just wanted to say, because we came in the real estate doing the tax deeds the same exact way, and we bought hundreds of them, and we were ecstatic and thought we would just ride that wave out probably for the next few years until we bumped into Land Academy, and by far it superseded what we were making in our best year buying tax deeds. So to Land Academy's credit, it works. It works exactly to a T, somewhat of how they say it would if you do it right. And it's just been great. And I didn't really have much to say, but that was my comment. And I just want to kind of stick my chest out a little bit, as well as AJ. It does only take one because we are in contract. We're at title now. We're picking up 260 acres for 3.4, which we think we would be able to knock off for 7 million.
Wow.
Wow. There you go, Cluster. We don't even have to talk anymore. You can hear everybody here telling you, been there, done that. We can save you.
I can say honestly, you guys are playing in an environment that we don't play in.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing, Ray. I'm so glad. I'm glad we'll see you today on the call too.
Yep, look forward to it.
Welcome back.
Awesome.
Sound like you got your hands full. I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of, when you run across the biggest deal of your life, you kind of take a step back and put all the attention there until it's situated. Once they got the title and all of the kinks were worked out as far as contract, because it wasn't just like a regular purchase agreement. It was to get some lawyers involved, and it had to, be worded the correct way. And it was 260 acres across 8 different parcels. In fact, 11 different parcels. So it was kind of like a big to do. So we just took a step back and put all of our attention there.
Yep. Boy, I hope it works out for you. I just think that takes some moxie. So I think it's great.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Please let us know how it goes. There's members like you get a big deal done like that, and then we just never hear from you again because you're all, you're too uppity. So you got to let us know how it goes.
Hey, listen. I'm going to take a vacation, but that just puts some fire in me to just want to hit it harder. I'm on the search for another one like that.
I think buying a new truck might be okay too, though.
Yeah, well, we'll see how much we put away for savings and how much we can liquidate to do some fun things.
Very nice. So good. Hey, Champ, how are you? Is it Champ Ron?
That it is. Hey,
Hello.
Jill, Brooklyn, Stephen, everyone on stage, everybody in the audience, good afternoon to you.
Bye.
Hi.
Hey, I'm late to the room, so I haven't unfortunately been part of what sounds like was the little bit that I've caught. It's been a very dynamic conversation, and I happened to come
Thanks.
across the topic in the hallway and thought I'd come in. So
Cool.
I'm Ron Brooks. I go by Champ Ron. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm in the land space as well. So just
Oh, good.
Cool.
wanted to come in and say hello and participate any way that I can.
Awesome. What's your
Excellent.
niche other
Excellent.
than land? Are you do you do stuff outside of Tennessee?
I do. Matter of fact, the majority of what I do is outside of Tennessee. My
Sweet.
niche is kind of in the, kind of, buying and flipping wholesale, and then kind of the
Mm-hmm.
arbitrage model
Ah,
with parcels. I'm typically catching, around that 15,000 and under price range. So some of the smaller things that are out there. Uh, Concentration mostly in kind of the Midwest. I've
mhm.
migrated a little bit to some of the more Southwest states, but the majority of my concentration is Colorado and Arkansas,
Cool.
and I'm finding great opportunity, especially in Arkansas.
So, what's a typical deal look like for you?
Typical deal is, typically a parcel or two, maybe at the most. Kind of working directly with the owner. Again, it's kind of an arbitrage model. I've worked with some other investors that are either looking to develop. I've even gotten into utilizing parcels for myself, whether for storage or even outdoor events. For one I've got up in Illinois, just out about 30 minutes outside of Chicago. So that's kind of been the majority of what I'm doing. I migrated to, sorry, I had a phone call come in.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
good.
Migrated to land after really starting my real estate career in '07 in the property space as a landlord and also as a wholesaler. So, and then I mentor people to do exactly what I do. And so
Hmm.
that's been very rewarding as well.
It is. That's
Good for you,
awesome.
man. I'm,
Have
I'm glad it's working out. It's always good to talk to people and see a different perspective on
hmm
land deals. There's a lot of ways to do this. Doesn't
Yeah,
mean
absolutely.
everybody's not.
What do you, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I'm sorry, Stephen. But I did have a question, I guess, with that. Are you guys, seeing opportunities kind of in that space? I guess I gather without looking through bios that you guys are kind of looking at maybe some larger parcel type deals and, maybe some development. Are you seeing things with some of the smaller lot opportunities where, location factors in very well and, that there's, kind of opportunity there? Either to create some passive income through it or even just transactionally through a wholesale flip. Are you guys seeing opportunities there and maybe kind of anticipate to continue to see opportunities going forward?
For better or for worse, we've honed our business model into, over the year. I started this in the early 90s. And what we do now is kind of specialize in buying. We send tons and tons of blind offers out and end up buying properties that are for acquisition price between $30,000 to $50,000, and then selling them for 90 to 130, 140, and of course it varies all over the country. Sometimes they're infill lots, sometimes they're could be industrial lots. We whatever's really well priced when it comes back, the mail comes back, we we do the deal. So and we do pretty good amount. We probably make $2 or $3 million a year doing this, and I'll tell you, we could make probably 10 times that if we wanted to, with a
hmm
whole staff and a lot of stuff. We just choose to keep it right there for some reason. And honestly, I don't even remember, Jill, ever sitting down with you and saying we should change this or do something different.
Mm-mm. That's our sweet spot, but we'll go bigger and we'll go smaller. But there's a point for me that it's too small because Ron, like when you move up and you start adding a zero and and buying things for a little bit more instead of buying for 10, you buy for 100,000 maybe. Think of and you're doing your same percentages. You're like it's sometimes it's either the same amount of work or less work in the end because especially we don't wholesale anything because the way you're doing it with the triage, we buy it. I believe in it that much. I'm buying it. I control it. No one's gonna mess up my deal. And then I
Yeah,
call
we
all the
we
shots, which
take
is
title to
great.
everything.
Yeah, I don't sweat. I sleep really good because I know I bought it so well. Like, I don't really care what happens. I don't care if it takes 3 days to sell or 3 months to sell. I know what I got here. It's totally fine. Um, so it's I'm reading your bio and I love your numbers and I'm so happy you have huge numbers. Too. There's not a lot of people who can say you have 560 deals. And I
Yeah.
think that is phenomenal and congratulations. And I see
Yeah.
your average of 8,500. All I would say if I were you, Ron, make that your average is 85,000.
Yep.
And you can do
But
that
not
That's
tomorrow.
eighty-five
good.
You think
Yeah.
million.
I'm
So
kidding?
the flip side of
Yeah.
what Jill's, I'm going to add to what Jill's saying. I've
I
done a
love
lot of
that.
commercial real estate deals, and when you do start to get in that $1 to $2 million acquisition price and sell for more, like these guys here that have said earlier in the call, I'm sure that's going to work out great for them. But for me, it's too much work and it's too long of a hold time. And there's lots of when you sell commercial real estate, there's all kinds of due diligence. There's a due diligence scenario that at best might take 6 months, but it usually takes more than a year. And that's just not our business model anymore. We've done well at that. Joe's too much of a deal junkie to wait a year to sell property.
That's totally true. I get
I'm like
impatient.
that. Hey, Stephen, I'm a lot like Jill in that. I am as well. So count me in that same bucket with Jill.
I love it. Do you know what's so great about this too? This is what we were kind of bringing. We wanted to bring to this talk today was so many of us that are on this call are the talkers, and we know that we get deals done and we can solve problems. Like how many times, Champeron, have you screwed up something, right? But what do? You figure it out. We just talk your way out of it. Like I goofed. I know I said this much. I meant this much. Whatever it is, and here's why. And we
Definitely.
figure it out. And you can't get deals. I'm sure you know this too. You can't get deals done unless you're pushing them through the system. I don't care whether it's with your seller, whether it's with escrow, whether it's you posting your own property to sell it or it's you working with a broker. There's a lot of work that goes into this. We don't just buy it right and put up a couple pictures and do a flat rate MLS listing and then just sit back and wait. You got to work them. And if you do, and you're on the phone, like we lovingly talked about a show that we're going to air next Friday about me on the phone. I'll be on the phone 10 hours a day. I will do as much as it takes to be on the phone. I don't flip and care because I know I'm getting deals done, and that's what it takes.
Yeah, definitely. So, Joe, we're a lot alike in that. Between the phone,
Yeah.
some of the Facebook groups, and some of the different groups that I'm a part of, I'm always kind of, having conversations with other people and kind of one on
Right.
one with buyers and sellers. So, and
Mm-hmm.
Stephen, kind of to your point, yeah, I've kind of structured myself as kind of more of a lifestyle business, kind of at this point, but there's definitely openings and room, to continue to grow that. And so, I've kind of been in that, $400,000, $500,000 range, and that's been, comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, getting outside your comfort zone is what leads to kind of that growth and opportunity. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'd love to continue connected with you all as you have these rooms
Yeah.
and other spaces that you curate.
Yeah. Wait, hold
Absolutely. It
please.
sounds great.
I just clicked the follow Ron button. There we go.
Hey, there we go. I love that. Yep, I'll do the same.
Awesome. Good. Yeah. And everybody listening here, you can tell there's amazing talent and amazing people in this room right now. So make sure that you follow them so you get notified when Ron's talking and we're talking. And this is awesome. I got to ask you, Ron. So here's one of the things that the reasons why I am not uh, a let's put it under contract and try to sell it person because I am such a big chicken about and things going sideways and me losing control of the deal. So how often does it happen to you and what do you do?
You know, Jill, in my early days, and I'll keep this very short, but in my early days, that was probably a little bit more of a concern where I wasn't quite as knowledgeable. Maybe I'd show my cards a little bit too much and maybe didn't have quite the trust and confidence built up with, in that instance, an buyer. Today, it doesn't happen as much, just because I tend to work with what I refer to as more VIP type buyers, which are folks that I'm constantly doing deals with. They
Mm-hmm.
know how I like to work. I know how they like to work. There's a trust and confidence there. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and then one of the things that's always big anytime you're doing any type of arbitrage or wholesale piece is always representing yourself accurately. And so I came from the banking world. I know you were talking about banking earlier. I was a banker during that '08, '09 times. And I also had started investing by then. So I was on the phone telling people I wasn't going to give them any money. And then my banker was telling me he wasn't giving me any money. So I lived those
That's
days. I was
awesome.
double fisted with my phones, and so I lived those days. But yeah, so representing yourself accurately, Jill, and then having VIP. So I'm not, I think it would be very tough, and I would have angst like you if I were kind of talking to new people all the time on the kind of disposition side of the business
Mm-hmm.
per se. Um, but because I'm kind of working with the same people, there's kind of a trust and confidence, and I'm to the point with a lot of them where I can fully disclose, of course, everything, including even my negotiations with
Oh,
the
because it's going to come out. You better share
yeah.
it up front.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. They're
exactly.
all going
And
to see
so
the HUD
yeah,
one and we're all going to know what's going on.
yeah, absolutely. And I've even had some of my buyers. We've been on the phone with a seller together,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just fully explain, hey, here's Ron's piece of, where he falls in the deal, and here's where I fall, and we've just had full disclosure that way. And even
Mm-hmm.
when I'm on the buy side, I've never really cared what the wholesaler was going to make. I never counted anybody's pockets. They're doing the work, and again, if the
Mm-hmm.
numbers make sense and the timing's right, we do the deal. And so just tried to operate that way, and that's again kind of bred that trust and confidence.
Mm-hmm. So
That's a
that's
super good
good.
attitude.
And then one having a rock and buyers list. We're familiar with that too. And that's golden. So and you're probably like me, like you get to the point where your buyers list is so awesome. You don't even have to do anything. I just send them a spreadsheet, state, county, APN, and the price. And we don't even talk. And they'll email back and say, I'll take numbers 1 through 5 and number 12 and whatever. I'm like, done, done, and done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it
Mhm.
is most of the time, unless I try to make sure I understand obviously the conditions and some things like that. If there's anything that gives cause for pause or is a little hairy, I try to make sure to
Mhm.
disclose that, and that might require a little bit more due diligence. In the times where I have looked at some larger kind of acreages. For example, I'm looking at working with a developer in Dixon, Tennessee, which is about 20 25 minutes west of Nashville, Tennessee, where values are just, of course, going crazy.
Mhm.
Um, that's something where there's a little bit more due diligence involved, of course, but in these kind of onesies and twosies, sometimes that I'm catching, you're right. You kind of get to where, again, you built that trust and confidence, and it just kind of goes, and it's fairly seamless at that point. And that's one of the things that drew me to land, quite frankly, because, and the property side, as we all know, once you add human beings that are living in structures, that adds disclosure, right? And
Yep.
a
Right.
lot more documentation and things like that. So that kind of slowed the process, and it just requires a lot more kind of gymnastics sometimes to
Right.
get the deal done. Whereas land, for the most part, tends to be a little more streamlined. So, but no,
Oh,
thank you. That's
totally.
good thoughts.
Yep.
Nothing
Very
will kill a
awesome.
deal faster than people.
The human condition, Stephen. I tell you, never fails.
I love it. This has been awesome. Thank you, everyone, for getting on the stage here and asking questions. And happy that you're here. We're going to be on in an hour and 15.